Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to take you through how I made a camera case for my new camera. To start off, I took measurements of my camera and also the accessories that I wanted to store along with it. This came out to be about 20 centimeters by 10 by 12. Once I had these measurements, I drew out the pattern pieces on some paper and made sure to add a 1 centimeter seam allowance. I've redrawn the design here. My normal design base is pretty chaotic, so hopefully that makes sense. I also made a chart for myself so I could keep track of how much I needed to cut from each material. Once I had that figured out, I started choosing the placement of the fabric pieces and went ahead and cut the pieces I thought would look good together. I made sure to trim off the seam allowance when I was cutting the batting, and also then an extra about half a centimeter for the cardboard pieces, just so it all fit inside each other. So I just finished cutting out all the pieces, and as you can see here, there's little cutouts of each scene. So we've got the lid is this piece here, and I've cut that out of the lining as well. Then we've got the base, which is this cute little baby with a little flower on its head. Then there's the first side, the long side, which is this lovely little fairy with a mushroom. The other long side is this cute little squirrel with some flowers. Then we've got the two short sides, which is this little fairy and some flowers on the other side. And then the little divider, I couldn't resist. I put this little squirrel guy on the inside. Now the batting is slightly different. So I've got two for the base, 2 pieces for the base, 2 pieces for the divider, 4 for the sides because there's 2 for each side, and then 4 for the long sides, and 2 for the lid. Next we have the cardboard pieces, which I cut out of a shipping box. I tried to get as few bends as possible just because I want the pieces to be quite strong. So I've got 1 piece for the base, 1 for each of the sides, and then in the lid there's the lid piece and also the little flap so that this will still be a bendable join. So if I take the base as an example, what I'm going to do is take the base piece of cardboard, so hand baste it between 2 layers of batting so that all the edges are encased. Then it'll be the base piece, and then lastly the lining. So that's how it's going to be. I'm a little bit worried that I didn't leave enough seam allowance to take into account the height, but I think it should be okay. I wasn't sure how it would come together in the end, so I just started by basting together the batting and the cardboard. For the lid, I ended up trimming back the cardboard a little bit just to leave more space for a button or buttonhole, as I wasn't really sure how I wanted to close it in the end. Then I moved on to sewing the lid pieces right sides together and then flipping them inside out. I went ahead and slid the cardboard batting sandwich into the lid, and it seemed to fit pretty well. I also top stitched on the join just to make it a little bit more bendable and want to naturally stay in a closed position, and top stitching around the edges. I sewed all the pieces of the lining to test out how they would come together, and I used a different strategy on the outer fabric, and neither of them really, I think, are the right way to do this, so I haven't detailed exactly how I did that, but essentially it's like following bag making. I'm sure there's Google tutorials out there that are way better than what I did. To get the cardboard and batting pieces in between the fabric, I placed the base in first, then followed by the side pieces, and then I put the lining inside that and started just pinning and positioning and faffing around until it kind of looked good. To secure the edges, I then turned them in to the inside and finished it by hand. This isn't the fastest way to do this, but it's the only way I could see to do it, as none of this fit under my sewing machine. I also went ahead and sandwiched the lid in between the back section and secured it with back stitches. I did make a little pouch in the end in the same way as the lining and the main fabric, but unfortunately my battery died and I hadn't realized by the time I'd finished. Lastly was to try and find a way to close this. I did that by attaching a button loop. For this, I poked an awl through all layers and then threaded in some string and reinforced it with a buttonhole stitch. I then sewed on a white button, and that was the last step. I really love how this turned out, and now I can safely take my camera with me and store it at home without worrying about damaging it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.